Welcome, my fellow imperfect humans. Welcome to my podcast, You Get To, episode 7. At least I think it's episode 7. Today is You Get to Be Consistent. You might notice that things are a little bit different today. I have a pretty crazy day today with floral design and coaching and helping my son with Zoom school. So I had some choices to make. I could just not do the podcast, say I would do it tomorrow, even though I got to tell you, tomorrow's looking about the same. I could run around stressed out and try to make everything perfect. Normally I like to do my hair and my makeup and pick out an outfit. And today we get, what does it say? It's hard to read it backwards in the camera. I enjoy romantic walks to the taco truck. Pretty sure that's what it says. This is what we get today because this is what we have to offer. I wasn't willing to stress about being perfect. I wasn't willing to give up on the commitment that I made to myself only 2 weeks ago to show up every Wednesday and record this podcast. This is how we're going to do it. I'm going to do a little floral design. I'm going to do a little talking to you, and it's likely going to be pretty short because I didn't even prepare the topic this week. Normally I have a routine of writing it out and going over it. I like to have a little bit of time in between when I first write it, so I can go back to it and make any changes I might want to make. But it's just not how things are rolling this week. And that's okay. It's kind of a really good opportunity for me to keep my commitment to myself and be okay with not being perfect and being able to have my own back and still be successful when things aren't going exactly according to plan. I'm not willing to quit on myself or fail today for that. And so I think that today's topic is really perfect because in order to be consistent, you've got to do things when you don't want to do them, when they're not convenient, when it's just really not the right time in your life, it's not the right day, you don't feel well, you're tired, you're cranky, whatever it is. If you want to be consistent, then you have to figure out how to show up even on those days. And so sometimes that means like today, I've got to give myself grace. I'm not showing up the way I normally do. I'm not as prepared as I normally am, but I'm here because that's what I have this week, and I'm going to give everything I have. So why is consistency important? Consistency is really about honoring a commitment that we, are either making to ourselves or to each other, something that we have decided is important, requires us to be consistent. Because when you're consistent, that is when you can gain traction, gain momentum, really start making progress and going after what it is that you really want to do. Whether it's, learning a new skill, playing a sport, learning music, a certain career, losing weight, like whatever it is that you want to go after, you have to consistently put in the work day in and day out, when it's not convenient, when you don't want to, when you don't believe that you're ever going to get there, when other people believe or don't believe that you're ever going to get there, those are the days that count the most. Showing up, building that habit, trusting. Echo, stop timer. It's time for my kid to stop playing video games, but that's going to have to wait a few minutes because I'm doing my podcast right now, and that is okay. Anyway, so consistency is about learning how to keep our word to ourselves and to others. And it really means that we are doing what is necessary to achieve the result that we want. And I think the hardest thing about consistency, like being consistent in itself is not that hard. It's the thoughts that come up when it's time to be consistent and the conditions aren't perfect. That's the hard part. And so that's the part that I really like to focus on is, okay, so we all know consistency is important, and we know that we want that for ourselves or for each other. But how do we deal with in the moment we're thinking, oh, I am so tired. Or today, how am I going to do all this? You know, I got magic to make here, people. This schedule is crazy, and I still want to be able to, you know, be with my son and play with him some parts of the day and not just go, go, go. So when those thoughts come up and we start thinking, well, you know, nobody knows that I made this consistency commitment to myself only 2 weeks ago. Like, nobody's going to know if the podcast doesn't drop today. So what do you do when those thoughts come up? Those thoughts that are going to derail you, and they are going to rob you of time. They're going to rob you of momentum. And, you know, if it happens enough, you lose momentum enough, you stop. The train doesn't go anymore. So it's really bigger than in that moment of, oh, I don't want to, right? It's really understanding, okay, if I don't do this, what are the bigger ramifications in my life, right? So if I told myself this week that it was too hard, I had too much to do, and I would just push it off and nobody knew, okay, that's one less podcast. That's not that big of a deal. But if I get into the habit or the pattern of letting myself off the hook, then I never even started on the consistency path. You know, like I never even got momentum. So that's an important thing too, is like you can afford to be a little bit more lenient once you do have that momentum really going for you. You can, you know, take some time off here or there. But if the train hasn't even left the station, it is definitely not a good time to let yourself off the hook and not do the thing that you said you were going to do. Like, nobody said that getting our dreams was going to be easy. And yet, we all seem to quit when it gets hard. What if we just know it's going to be kind of hard and we tell ourselves that we will figure it out? It's okay if we're not perfect all the time. and go from there. It's like you have to be firm with yourself and also give yourself grace, which I think is, sort of difficult it's hard for the brain to hold all the things all the time, right? To be graceful and to be firm that, yeah, I know you're tired. I know these are not ideal circumstances. I know we wish it was different, but this is what we have this week. And so what is the best way we can carry out our commitments to ourselves to keep the consistency going so that we gain momentum and we get to where we want to go? And then once we get there, then we get to pick a new place to go. But if you don't tap into the consistency and the momentum, it's just this stop and start and stop and start. And I think we've all experienced that kind of yo-yo effect when our motivation weans and we go ahead and quit whatever it is we were going for. For me, over the years, it's been exercise. Just go in and out, and kind of let myself waffle. And that feeling of inconsistency is really uncomfortable. And so not only when we're inconsistent, it's not only that we just lose that little progress, it's another experience in our life where we are, telling ourselves like, oh, we're not able to be consistent, and it's sort of creating that pattern instead of the pattern of, no, I'm a consistent person and I do the things that I say I'm going to do. I act with integrity, and I know that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And other people can feel the same way because you always show up and you say you're going to show up. And when we look back to all those times where we don't show up the way we want to or at all, it's kind of like, yes, I show up and then I don't show up at all. Yes, I show up and then I don't show up at all. And that really damages our self-esteem. It damages our relationship with ourselves. It damages our relationship with others because they can't trust us. And it feels really crappy to hear that, because we are inconsistent, they can't trust us. But it's true. And so what we need to practice and work on is learning to be consistent, to be true to our words, to make sure that, our motivations and our actions are aligned. So I think that's what I have for consistency this week. Okay. Happy Wednesday. Take care. Bye.